What's up, guys? Aussie Sim Commentator here. How are you doing out there today? We are here for my apologies, round number 11 of the Output Racing League, here live from the Kansas Speedway. We took a week off last week because we had some outside issues that we had to deal with. So it looks like the drivers are well and truly pumped up for here tonight. And we just finished Daytona week in the official iRacing series. And it looks like tonight is going to be very similar to Daytona week. No lifting required, at least not for the first 20 or so laps. So we're going to jump in the car, we're going to see if we can get a pit party going. So we can talk you guys through this track a little bit. And have a little bit of fun while we're at it. Get everyone down into the pits here for the pit party. Now we want to be at the very back for this.
Come on, get it turned around. They go the wrong way. Come on, get it turned around. They go the wrong way.
Looks like everyone's starting to form up now. 14 people in this session at the moment. And looks like we're starting to roll. And we're going to get formed up on the back straight, and then we're going to get into our 2x2 formation.
Car outside. Car outside. Car outside. Car outside. Car outside. Still on the right. Car outside.
We're going to sneak in behind Thomas Harmon here. Looks like we're going to have a very long outside line. Apparently a lot of people with penalties. And we're green.
Clear inside.
Obviously not the best start from us because we didn't hear when the green flag was going to come out. Jaren's got the lead right now. Right in front of us we've got Brian Pizzicami, Matt Burgess and Jerry Glenn. Now you can see here, we are absolutely full throttle, pinned to the floor, and down as low on the track as we can get. Even here on the front straight, you want to use the apron to your advantage.
2.53.
It's going to make passing here very difficult to do,
Car outside.
as everyone is in the draft,
Still on the right.
and no quarters will be given.
Car outside. Car outside. Still on your right.
Got a little bit of a lift there. Oh, there's some contact. Brandon Miller and Jaron Sanchez getting into it there.
Car outside. 30.071.
And this has promoted us up into P5 in the pit party. We're going to see if we can sneak on the inside of Brian Pizzicami here.
Car outside. on the right.
That's going to make us P4.
Still on the right.
As we've charged from the back to the front, we're still full throttling it all the way around this track. As now we are up in this leading battle.
Car outside. Still on the right. Still on the right. Still on the right.
So there's not really much here that will be detrimental to the cars and the drivers, apart from the other cars and drivers. As you can see here, as the leaders go around, the biggest point of worry is what is the car behind you going to be doing, or even the car on your outside, where they're going to try and pinch you down on the back straight or something.
Car outside.
So we've squeezed to the inside of Jared Polshy here.
Still on the right.
We're getting the help from Thomas Harmon.
Car outside. 29.973.
Thomas now going for the big inside dive. I'm going to cut his nose off.
Car inside. Clear inside.
Now I'm going to let these guys figure it out. Let them go past.
Car outside. Two on your right.
Outside, 2 wide.
Clear outside.
See there, we were way too fast coming into the pits. We want to get out a lot
Turn open for
earlier
your
with the
side.
throttle to try and make it. So we're going to catch back up with the action here now. These guys have gone 3 wide. The 5 is, in all technicality, a lap down car in this situation. Thomas Harmon trying to show his dominance here, as we just about go 4 wide on the main straight. Even though this is only practice, these guys pushing very hard to try and get whatever advantage they can get. But at the moment we have Thomas Harmon on top of the timesheets at the moment. Brandon Miller, which is a big surprise, up into P2. Tyler Geary in P3. Jaron Sanchez in 4th. Brian Pizzacchemi in 5th. Matt Burgess P6. Mark Penticuff 7th. Travis Massier 8th. Jerry Glenn in 9th. Jonathan Hernandez 10th, which is a surprise for that up front running contender of the championship. Brian Harris in 11th, Jared Polshy in 12th, Frank Isaacson 13th, and Derek Myers in 14th. Now it looks like we do have a car somewhere who has not even laid down a lap yet. 15 registered for this session, which includes myself. And as it stands right now, we also have a strength of field of a 22.49. Thomas Harmon's quick lap is a 29.622, just 0.049 of a second faster than Brandon Miller. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys can pull out of the bag for qualifying. As these 4 drivers here up at the front of the pit party pack, still battling it out pretty hard. Oh, and there's contact. The 9 went around on the nose of Thomas Harmon, and the 78 of Brian Pizzacchemi was involved in that as well. This is what I was saying before about the real danger here at this track is the other drivers. as now we have on screen the 54 and the 88. That's Derek Myers and Jonathan Hernandez, 14th and 7th respectively. Just in front of them we have got the 5 of Mark Pentecoff. Mark this week running the Bass Pro Shops paint job. We've got Derek there running the hashtag Card to Can paint job. Jonathan Hernandez running a very subdue paint job here today. JDR on the back. We're going to go see who else we've got out here on track. We've got the 13 of Travis Massier on track. Looks like him and Frank Isaacson just drafting around a little bit here, trying to see what they can do in a working together situation. We also have current second place driver Brandon Miller entering the track. He's going to have Travis and Frank coming up behind him fairly shortly here. We're going to go back to focusing on crashes to see what we can get out of these drivers. So we've got the 54, Derek Myers, going very slow on the apron there. The 13 and the 24 still fighting pretty hard here. It looks like someone was playing around with alternate dimensions there. We've got the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez joining the 54 of Derek Myers there. As now we have Frank and Travis battling it out very hard there. And it looks like Frank has actually lost Travis on his back there. Now it's up to Jonathan and Derek here to try and catch up to Brandon Miller. Just having a quick little look through my standings here, and including myself, the top 7 here in practice are separated by less than a tenth of a second. You'll notice on the timing board there, I'm in P4. Don't pay too much mind to that. Just fixing up the timing and scoring banner there. Derek and Jonathan fighting very hard here. Either that or they're trying their best to work together. It looks like 54 Derek trying to give Jonathan a big push going along that back straight there. Oh, and there is contact. These guys have gone around, and they've just been split by Frank and Brandon Bennett in the one car. You see the 54 back on the pit road. Now got league owner and operator Jaron Sanchez, and a little bit of space all by himself here on the track. Currently P4 on the adjusted standings. And we just have 6.5 minutes left of practice here. I think some of these guys might be trying to figure out whether they can get in a decent lap time by themselves, so they don't have to rely on the draft of other people in qualifying, which I don't think is going to work out too well for them, to be completely honest. This is going to be a very draft heavy circuit. See the one of Brandon Bennett heading back out onto the track now with a really nice American flag axlata paint job. Axalta. Don't know why, I always get that sponsorship wrong. Either way, it's a very nice design. Especially considering just last week was the Independence Day, 4th of July. And now we can see the 7 of Brian Harris on the screen. And just in front of him is the 42 of Logan Lansford, who has not yet laid down a lap time. We now have 17 registered to race in this session, 18 if you include myself. We finally get a lap on the board for Logan Lansford, and it is a 30.708, so he is well down the order in 16th. With that second lap there, Logan only puts himself up one position. But it looks like everyone who is in the session has laid down a lap now. With Gerald West also completing a lap after just spawning into the server. He is on the tail of the 22 of Brandon C. Miller. And Gerald now puts himself up into P16. Logan has put himself up into 13th. But still the top of the board remains unchanged at the moment. as we're going to take a large spectrum of who's on the track here. Got a bit of a battle pack here. Frank Isaacson in the 24 experimenting with the portals to the nether regions. Got the 7 of Brian Harrison there and the 42 of Logan Lansford. Logan now puts himself up into 10th position right behind Brian Harris, who was in 7th. Frank definitely looks like his internet is not being kind to him today. As we come down to a minute left in this session, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, it will be time for qualifying. Alrighty, we are back live here at the Kansas Speedway. Qualifying is just getting underway. We've got several cars out on the track at the moment. We're currently looking at the 54 of Derek Myers. Everyone trying to find their own little piece of space here so they can get a good run for quali. Generally, the fast lap here is going to be the second lap. So you want to try and build up as much speed as you can on your out lap and your first lap. Another thing too is you don't want to engage in bump drafting on your fast lap, because that will cancel out your lap time. We see these drivers getting very close to each other in certain parts of the track. So far, the Mark Pentecoff in the 5 car is in the box seat for pole position. Just gotta wait for drivers to start coming around and getting their second laps in. We'll get a true representation of the field at that point. Looks like we've got Jonathan Hernandez on top at the moment, Mark Pentecoff in second, Jerry Glay in third, Jaron Sanchez in fourth, and Frank Isaacson in fifth. But that could change very soon, especially since Frank is blinking out a little bit here, probably scaring these guys off behind him a little bit. Let's come through for the next lap now. Jonathan Hernandez again pumping out fast time. a 29.710. We're back looking at these guys here. I'm just going to quickly fire off a message to head admin. So as it stands right now, Jonathan Hernandez with quick time at a 29.620. Mark Pentecoff P2 a full tenth of a second behind him. Derek Myers is P3, Jerry Glenn P4, and Brandon Miller currently P5. 3 tenths off the pace, 3.5 tenths off the pace in fact. See now, Derek Myers getting right up on the back of Jerry Glenn without touching him. Trying to extract as much speed as they can out of these Cup cars coming across the line. And they have both just been eclipsed by Frank Isaacson, who has gone up to P2, 0.06 of a second off the lead. As now we're looking at the 7, the 22 and the 28. That's Brian Harris, Brandon Miller and Brandon Stevens. And this is a visual representation of too many Brians and too many Brandons in this league. So Brandon Stevens has moved himself up into P6. Brandon Miller still down in 3rd, Brian Harris still in 4th. It looks like it's going to be very hard to keep our eyes on the 24 car there as the checkered flag is waving. This is going to be the end of qualifying. Alright, there we go guys. That is the end of qualifying indeed. Now we have 21 people in this field with a strength of field of a 22-23. That includes myself. So we're going to have 20 drivers to take the green flag. Going through our starting order, we are going to have Jonathan Hernandez in the 88 off pole, Frank Isaacson out of P2. Out of P3, we are going to have the 22 of Brandon Miller, and on his outside will be the 7 of Brian Harris. Then we're going to have the 5 of Mark Pentecoff, and on his outside will be the 28 of Brandon Stevens. Then we are going to have the 54 of Derek Myers, and on his outside will be the 98 of Jerry Glenn. On the row behind them, row 5, we're going to have Brandon Bennett in the 1 car starting out of 9th, and Jaron Sanchez in the 4 car starting out of P10. Then we're going to have the 13 of Travis Massia, and on his outside in 12th will be the 12 of Matt Burgess. Now we're going to have Jared Polshy in the 9 starting out of 13th with Brian Pizzakemi in 14th on his outside. Then we're going to have the 42 of Logan Lansford starting out of 15th, and out of 16th will be the 38 of Thomas Harmon. Out of 17th without a recorded lap is going to be the 86 of Gerald West. On his outside will be the 18 of Brian Beach. Then starting out of 19th we'll have the 026 of Tyler Geary, and starting out of last position will be the 022 of Wendell Low. So that is your starters and drivers for this race, guys. We just got to wait for everyone to get on the grid if they're going to. So Brian Beach and Tyler Geary have missed gridding. So that means that we are going to have 18 to take the green flag here. That's going to promote Wendell Low up to 18th for the start of this race. Now what can Jonathan do from the pole here? And Brandon Miller, a man who we don't generally see this far up the field, what can he do from third place? We know he is one of the best tyre savers in the game, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do with this excellent starting position. Pace car has gone in. The field's getting ready. First starters on green.
Go, go, go.
And we are off and racing here for race number 11 of the Output Racing League from Kansas Speedway. It looks like Jonathan Hernandez with the big advantage here to begin with. And Brandon Miller right behind him taking the advantage as well. Moving up to P2. Brian Harris got onto the apron a little bit there, got a little bit slippery, and we're going 3 wide behind them. As Mark Pentecoff is starting to drop through the field now, he's a little bit nervous being behind the 24 with how much he's blinking. It looks like we might have a challenge for the lead here shortly. The 22 of Brandon Miller looking to go around the outside of Jonathan Hernandez, but he's got no help, so it doesn't look like he's going to get very much going on there. The one of Brandon Bennett looked like he was going to move into the outside lane and maybe offer some help to Brandon Miller, but it doesn't look like he is very keen on doing that at the minute. And that outside line had just went nowhere there on the start. Brandon Miller still holding his own up there in the 4th position. On the outside all by himself, side drafting pretty hard with Brandon Bennett there. It looks like Frank Isaacson has finished experimenting with those alternate dimensions, coming back into a solid corporeal form. As Brandon Miller still trying to make something work on the outside there around this front pack. And it looks like now also the 54 has jumped out of the line, but he still has a gap there down the low to get back into it. And just behind these guys, we do have a 3-wide situation. Or at least we did have a 3-wide situation. As we see Frank Isaacson slowly falling towards the back of the pack. I would focus on him directly, but it's a bit hard with him going in and out of the dimension. Back up to the front of the field now, we have the 7 on the outside, Brian Harris, trying to make a move on Jonathan Hernandez. Brian's got help from Derek, but Jonathan has help from the 1 of Brandon Bennett. It looks like the push that Brandon gave to Jonathan was enough to keep him in the lead for now. But Derek riding right on the bumper of Brian Harris, giving him a big push going along the front straight there. I say front straight very loosely there because it is a tri-oval. Brian Harris just has his nose ahead of Jonathan at this point. The 9 car of Jared Polshy trying to give a push to the 54 and then ditched him, went back down to the low lane, cutting off the nose of the 13 of Travis Massia. Jared was looking very briefly there, taking it 3 wide, decided otherwise. as now we definitely have a race on our hands here. The 7 of Brian Harris decides to just quickly slip back in behind the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez there, just to pop out again and try and offer up a move on him. It doesn't look like it was going to be very profitable for him to try and pull off such a move. Got absolutely intense racing up the front here. And these 5 battling it out very hard. Just a quick little update on the guy who started in 3rd, Brandon Miller. He has dropped all the way down to the 12th position, just 1 in front of Jaron Sanchez there. But now we're going to go back up to the front of the field. Jonathan Hernandez still holding on to that lead. Looks like Derek Myers wanting to make it go 3 wide. Didn't quite have the momentum to get that done. Jonathan now blocking every single lane. Brian Harris coming back down to the low lane to file in behind Jonathan. Derek Myers taking advantage of that, getting his nose up next to Brian Harris to stop him from pulling out again. And it looks like Jonathan Hernandez now starting to experiment with the alternate dimensions, trying to see what he can get from them. Some call it cheating, I call it fair game. As now Derek Myers clean and clear in 2nd place. Had time there to even duck down behind Jonathan Hernandez and move back up to his high line. Right on his tail is the 98 of Jerry Glenn. These guys are old buddies, and they like to race pretty hard and work with each other to keep themselves into a good position. So let's see if that teamwork that these two can show will pay off for them. Jonathan now pulls up in front of Derek Myers, trying to ruin his momentum there along the back straight. Jonathan doing everything he can to keep this entire field behind him. Just about running in the grass as they're going through the tri-oval on the front. But it looks like Jonathan holding on to the strong advantage right now. Brian Harris still right there in P2. Derek Myers, in P3. Derek Myers on the outside, still in P2. And these guys are going absolutely crazy. It looks like we might also have a slow car off the back of the field. And it is the 78 of Brian Pizzakemi. Looks like he has lost the draft, which means that he's going to be going much slower than everyone else at the moment. So we go back to our leading pack now. Derek Myers on the outside, looking like he's going to take the big advantage. It looks like we've lost the 7 of Brian Harris, who has fallen back into the clutches of the 1 of Brandon Bennett. I'm not sure what's happened there for him, but he is definitely not where he was when we left these guys just a second earlier. Oh no, and we have contact. That has brought out the caution flag. Let's go back and have a look, see who else was involved in that. So we got the 1 of Brandon Bennett. Just running a little bit too high there, coming off of turn 2. And he has hit the wall fairly heavily there. He's come down into the 86, that's Gerald West. And Gerald has come down and hit another car as well. I think that is the 9. Yep, that's the 9 of Jared Polshy. Gerald going for a big spin here. And contacting the inside wall maybe. Oh, yep, just. Very gently. So as I said, this has brought out the first caution of this race. It looks like Derek Myers has actually been scored as the leader. So there you go, we've had the first overtake for the lead in this race. And it happened just before the caution came out. See what these leaders will do. One person that this caution definitely benefited was the 78 of Brian Pizzakemi, who was falling off the draft at the rate of knots. And who's going to be the first one off of pit lane? Obviously Jonathan Hernandez is going to be the big advantage, having the final pit stall there. Couldn't use it to his advantage. And very sneakily there, wanting to be the third car across the line, so that way Jerry Glenn and Derek Myers could not start nose to tail for this restart. So a little bit of tactic being used there by Jonathan Hernandez. Let's see if his thought process pays off here. As we didn't have anyone one lap down, the drivers should be on 2 to green at the moment. Looks like Brandon Bennett going in to get some more repairs done. He's got a very bruised and beaten up car there, which is a shame considering his paint job looks so awesome. We're going to go back to the front of the pack here. So a quick rundown of who we got. Derek Myers going to be restarting off the pole. Jerry Glenn going to be out of P2. Jonathan Hernandez out of 3. Brian Harris is going to be restarting 4th. And Logan Lansford from 15th on the grid going to be restarting out of P5. As the field comes along the back straight for the final time before we go back to green. Brandon Bennett still continuing to get some repairs done. If I was him, I wouldn't wait too long. We're about to go back to green, and he's going to lose a lap. As the pace car goes in, the restart is on the leader. And we are off and racing again here. Derek Myers trying to get his buddy Jerry Glenn to come up there on the high line with him. Didn't quite work out as they had planned, but looks like Jonathan Hernandez holding station on that inside line right on the tail of the 54 of Derek Myers. Jerry Glenn moving to the outside, which has allowed the 7 of Brian Harris to get up on his inside. But in saying that, Jerry has got help. He has the 42 of Logan Lansford and the 13 of Travis Massia right behind him, ready to push. But it looks like Logan might have ditched him, And now Brandon Stevens takes up the mantle on the end of that line on the outside, as Logan Lansford, trying to get around Jerry, goes to the inside line to back up Brian Harris. Brian now trying to make himself known, looking like he wanted to try and lead that outside line. Nothing doing though, and he actually almost got undercut by the 42 of Logan Lansford, who was looking very racy on the apron. It looks like very close quarters here between the 7 and the 98 as well on the back straight. Not sure if there was any contact there, but it looked definitely to be very close. As now Brian Harris squeezes it himself up to be the leader of that outside line. Jerry Glenn says, "I'm not going to be following you," and he slips down to the low line. Logan Lansford teasing Brian Harris a little bit there, going to the outside and slipping back into his position in P3, right behind Jonathan Hernandez in the 88. These guys are employing some heavy-handed tactics here to try and gain whatever advantage they can. Logan Lansford now into the outside line. Jerry Glenn has closed that gap on the inside, so he can't get back down if he wanted to. And it looks like Logan now has help from the 7 of Brian Harris. Will this pay off for them? The 54 and the 88 still absolutely stuck together, nose to tail. One thing Jonathan can't do here is pull out of the draft of the 54, because Jerry Glenn in the 98 is right there ready and waiting to pounce at any opportunity of Jonathan moving out of the way. Because if Derek and Jerry can get themselves hooked up together, then they will be a force to be reckoned with. On the outside line now, we've got Logan Lansford and Brian Harris still lined up together, trying to make that outside line work. At the moment, still nothing really doing there for them. They have caught up to the 98 of Jerry Glenn very slightly, but it's not really helping them out all that much. Travis Massey trying to get back onto their bumper, trying to see what he can do to help these guys out. We're starting to see a little bit of separation now between these leading cars, as the two leaders actually went to the high line there on the back straight, knowing that they were clean and clear, and that's invited Logan Lansford up into the 3rd position now. Logan still fighting away hard on the outside. Jerry Glenn decided to go with him here and then ditch him straight away to go back down to the low line. Oh, and it's getting very willing there for the 5th position between Brian Harris and Travis Massey. Contact as they were coming off of turn 2 there. These guys are also fighting tooth and nail. It looks like that has actually hindered Logan Lansford a lot on the outside with no help. Logan looking like he's trying to save his tyres a little bit now, as Travis Massey tried to slide up in front of the Jerry Glenn car. Nothing really doing there for Travis. Good effort, but not that good in the execution, as Brian Harris now slips down in between the gap left by Travis Massey and Brandon Miller. And that's allowed him to close in on the 13 of Travis Massey a little bit here. As we're going to go back to looking at our leaders real quick. It looks like the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez sees his opportunity on the low line to try and go around the 54 of Derek Myers. Logan wondering which way he should go. He's like a kid in a candy store. Very fitting considering he's got the M&M car. Choosing Jonathan for the corners, almost going to Derek for the straight. Going back down to Jonathan here in the tri-oval. And this could shuffle Derek all the way from 1st back down to 3rd. but it's not going to happen. Derek taking the lead back on the back straight. Logan now also trying to take that second place away from Jonathan Hernandez, and it looks like he's got that move made. Derek running very high on the track, looking like he's maybe trying to save his tyres here a little bit. These guys fighting absolutely tooth and nails. We're going to go back in the pack here a little bit. And we've got quite the battle here for the 8th, 9th and 10th positions. In fact, make that 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. You see the 38 and the 022 cars right up there in the thick of things. But we got some fast guys back here at the end of the top 10, with Thomas Harmon and Matt Burgess being buried deep in this field. They're working on the inside of Wendell Lowe, a man who we haven't seen here in a while. Glad to see him back though, and really putting it to Thomas Harmon here. Thomas not having things all his own way at the moment, maybe struggling a little bit with this track. As we're going to go back up to our leaders now, and Logan Lansford making a move for the lead, couldn't quite get it pulled off. Derek Myers, Jonathan Hernandez running that high line again. Looks like they figure that this high line is a little bit faster at the moment. Logan Lansford taking it all the way down to the apron, while Jonathan and Derek still continue to run that higher line, especially on the straightaway there. Also sounds like they're going to be on the tail of the lap traffic very shortly. The lap traffic being the one car of Brandon Bennett. Looks like he's just 6.5 seconds up the road from these guys, battling it out still very hard. And now Jonathan Hernandez drops down low and takes the lead from Derek Myers with a slide job. Derek running that high line, getting all the momentum, sending it back down to the inside on the back straight, and takes the lead back from Jonathan. Logan right now, all he really needs to do is just sit behind these guys and watch and wait. Maybe go for a move a little bit later on to let these guys fight it out for a bit. Maybe they'll make a little bit of contact as Logan Lansford hits the wall, going through 1 and 2. It doesn't look like it's hurt him too much. He's lost a little bit of momentum, but he's still within the range of having to draft to these two guys in front of him. But for now, at least, it looks like Logan's definitely losing a lot of time to these guys in front. He lost 0.6 on that lap. As we're going to go back to looking at our two leaders here. These guys battling it out very hard. In fact, we're going to go on board with Logan to watch this battle. Both leaders still running that higher line. Logan pedaling a little bit, trying to run the Larson line. Everything is definitely on the line and up for grabs at the moment. Jonathan fighting to try and get back into the lead of the championship. Derek and Logan trying to get some pride. As we see the cars now making their way down the back straight. Jonathan with the big inside run, and we've got another caution flag. I'm not sure what's brought out this one. We're going to go have a look. We see the 22 car of Brandon Miller backwards. And he's hit the wall coming off of turn 2. And that spat him down to the inside. Oh, he just caught the wall at the opening of the gates. And that is going to be his race pretty much done ski here. And this is going to be a big benefit to Brandon Bennett, who was almost off the lead lap. But Jonathan Hernandez indeed scored as the leader now. Just had his nose in front of Derek Myers as the caution came out. And it looks like we got Brian Harris staying out on the track, maybe looking to get those bonus points for leading the lap. But for the moment, let's keep an eye on the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez here. Let's see how his pit stop is. Nice entry into his box. Oh, he was too far back. It looks like another car back a little bit. Brandon Stevens was a little bit too far forward in his box, having to back up there. And the 54 Derek Myers coming out first. And Jonathan Hernandez playing the tactic game again, coming out of the pits in third. So he can be right on the tail of Derek Myers. Matt Burgess, who earlier was absolutely nowhere in this race, has made his way up into the second position. That's if Brian Harris chooses to go to the pits this time by. Let's have a look. Does Brian go to the pits? Yes, he does. So we're going to have Derek Myers in the lead. Second place will be the 12 of Matt Burgess. Third place, the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. Fourth place, the 4 league owner and operator, Jaron Sanchez. And fifth place will be Blinky McGee, aka Mr. Frank Isaacson. Alright, we're going to go for a very quick commercial break here, guys, and when we come back, we will be racing again. Alrighty, we are back, and I've gone for the wrong scene there. We're half a lap away from going back green. Looks like Derek Myers choosing the inside line for this restart, which is fitting because Jaron Sanchez and Matt Burgess, who were buried deep in the pack before that caution came out, right there in second and fourth respectively. Alright, the pace car has gone in. And we are off and racing again. Derek getting a bit of a jump on the start. Gapping himself to Jonathan Hernandez a little bit here. Jonathan also getting a little bit of a gap over the 12 and the 4. Relegating them back to 3rd and 4th. Derek trying to get whatever advantage he can over Jonathan, running the high line to try and encourage the 12 of Matt Burgess to catch up. Almost working against him there as Jonathan got an excellent run going into turn 3. Both cars now taking to the infield to try and get whatever advantage they can over each other. Jonathan running a slightly higher line on the entry to turn 1 there. And now Derek running the white line on the inside, something that you usually see from super speedway racing. But with these 550 horsepower engines and this draft package, you can see it at pretty much any mile-and-a-half track. And it looks like we might have actually lost Brandon C. Miller for the race here as well. As now we see in the background there, Logan Lansford has slipped himself up in front of the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. And the 42 and the 4 dropping down to the low line right behind the 9 of Jared Polshy to try and steam train past the 12 of Matt Burgess a little bit here. Logan going back to that high line, just about getting cut off there by the 9 as he got a little bit of a run going. Matt Burgess right behind Logan Lansford there. But Jaron Sanchez following behind Jared Polshy. Or Pashley. Jared Pashley. I can't believe I've been pronouncing his name wrong this entire time. I haven't even been paying attention. Jared now into P3. League owner and operator Jaron Sanchez right on his tail. But that could change in a second here. There's a gap that's opened up. And Logan Lansford was trying to fill it. So we're going to go back to looking at our leaders here for a minute. Both of them still running that low line. Just absolutely making a super speedway out of this track. As we see there, Derek going a little bit wide on the exit. He can get about half a car width there before it's going to start inviting the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez to maybe think about making a move. Looks like Jonathan just getting the nose out of the draft there for a split second to get some fresh air onto his grill. These cars are notoriously bad for overheating. They will overheat pretty quickly. You see there, Jonathan trying to get some more air into that grill. But these two drivers have amassed themselves a 7/10 of a second gap over 3rd place Jared Polshy, or Pashley. I correct myself and I still start saying it wrong. Logan Lansford back in 4th position. Jonathan Hernandez now going way out to the outside of Derek there. Looks like he might be struggling quite a bit with overheating. Let's go have a look inside his cockpit and see what we can see. And it's not giving us any of the readings that it should be. So that's going to be a big oof on our part. As we're going to go back into the 9 car and have a look at this from the gyro cam. Looks like the leader's starting to run a slightly higher line. As Jonathan tempted Derek to running the higher line and then diving down low for the corner. Almost trying to catch Derek out of his mind a little bit there. These drivers still battling very hard. Looks like now, because of the battling that Jonathan and Derek have been doing, that's actually allowed Jared here to catch up to them. We're going to go back to the external cam. And Jonathan Hernandez now with the big run on the inside. Derek on the outside with absolutely no help. Jonathan has taken the lead and Derek is at risk of losing second place. He just slips in front of Jared Pashley there. Goes back to the outside line for the corner. And it looks like the outside in turns 1 and 2 hold the biggest advantage at the moment as Derek Myers takes the lead back going along the back straight. Logan Lansford now fancies his chances to try and get into P3. Cutting down to the inside of Jared Pashley, who tapped the wall on the entry to turn 1. That's going to ruin his momentum a little bit, which absolutely allows Logan Lansford into the third position. Looks like all the cars are starting to run the higher line here at the minute. Jared going for a big dive on the inside of Logan. Not sure how well that's going to work out for him because he's got no drafting help. And we have another move for the lead as well. Jonathan Hernandez sliding his way back into the lead of this race. Couldn't quite get Derek cleared though, coming off of turn 2. So it's going to be a drag race as they come off the corner. It looks like Logan Lansford's even going to stick his nose up in here. Derek and Jonathan racing very hard. Now we're going to go 3 wide with Logan Lansford in the middle. Jonathan taking the grass on the apron of the front straight there. And Logan Lansford now trying to make a move for the lead. And he slips up in front of Derek. He gets the lead momentarily. Derek with a big run coming off of turn 2. Sends it back to the inside. Gets that move made. And slides back up in front of Logan like he was standing still. Logan now under threat from Jonathan Hernandez on his outside. Logan's got no help down there on the inside. And Jonathan has the drafting assistance of Derek in front of him, and he gets that move made. And just like that, we return to the status quo for this race. Gonna take a little bit of a look back to the 4th and 5th positions now. Looks like we got a battle forming for Jaron Sanchez and a 9 of Jared Pashley. Jaron trying to look low going into turn 3 and 4. Gets the move made into turn 3, but can he seal it off in turn 4? And indeed he can, and that's league owner and operator into the 4th position. But Jared coming back down onto his inside now. Can he get the switchback move done into turn 1? He doesn't need to do it into turn 1. He got it done by the end of the front straight there. As we're going to go back to our leaders who are just up on the back of the 24 car. That's Frank Isaacson about to go a lap down. And as they come off of turn 4, the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez also looking to make a move on the inside. Couldn't quite get it to stick. Files back in behind Derek here. That outside line looking like it is holding the biggest advantage right now. Derek moving slightly down on the back straight to try and fend off a move going into turn 3. Jonathan now trying to make the move work on the front straight again. These guys are fighting absolutely tooth and nail. Now if Jonathan can slide up here, he'll have the lead made. And he does slide up right in front of Derek, almost checking him up a little bit, which would have given Jonathan the big lead here. But unfortunately that is not the way it worked out, and it looks like Jonathan is also going to lose second place to Logan. Logan now looking low on Derek, see if he can make a move through 1 and 2. Derek moving down the track with him to try and block that move a little bit. And in doing so, has checked them all up. Especially with Jonathan being right on that high line the entire time through that turn 1 and 2 section. And we're back to the status quo with Jaron Sanchez trying to buy into this battle as well in 4th place. Now, Jaron will definitely throw a spanner into the works for these 3 in front of him. As we're going to watch on board from Jaron's gyro cam. Looks like Logan definitely has quite a bit of damage here to his tailgate. Sorry, just to the rear of his car. I forget that we're not racing trucks. It looks like there's going to be a big move on the inside there for everyone. Derek trying to defend the possibility of Jonathan getting his nose in front going through the apron. These guys are on the absolute edge of all grip right now. If you ever wanted the battle of who's got the biggest testicles, just take a bunch of guys to Kansas and say, run it wide open. As we're going to go back to looking at this leading battle right now. And also looking at my little timing screen here, we're going to start catching some more lap traffic fairly soon with the 13 of Travis Massia. Looks like for the moment, Jonathan just content with running in the 2nd place here. I say that, and then he's going to look down low on Derek going through the front straight away. Derek trying to get as far down as he can without getting onto the apron. And running the middle line to try and defend from the slide up from Jonathan Hernandez. And now they're going to drag race along the back straight. This has also invited Logan Lansford to steal up the gap between himself and Derek, so Jonathan cannot get back up there behind Derek for that 2nd position. Logan all but pushing Derek along that front straightaway there. These guys are putting on an absolutely fantastic show. As when we come to the line next time by, we're going to have 30 laps to go in this race. These guys will also want to be starting to think about the possibility of a green flag pit stop here soon. Logan Lansford now looking for the low side to try and get a run on Derek. Can he get the move made going into turn 1? He can't quite get it there. Couldn't get the enough momentum for the shot down low to take the lead and slide up. And in fact, this has slowed him up so much that he could be coming to the clutches of Jaron Sanchez here, the 4 car. Looks like Jaron might have just lifted for him a little bit. These guys are definitely putting everything on the table at the moment, as we're going to go have a quick look from the Aussie Sim commentator Chopper. You can see the slightly varying lines here that the drivers are taking. Try and get whatever advantage they can wherever they can. Looks like running on the dotted line there in turns of 1 and 2 is where you're going to get all your speed. It also looks like we have a pit stop coming from the 9 of Jared Pashley. Also, Travis Massio, who was right in front of our leaders here, has come in for a stop as well. Jonathan now getting a good run off of turn 2. Puts it to the inside of Derek along the back straight. Goes for a big dive. Can he get the slide job? He can, but Derek coming back down to his inside here as well. Looks like Derek's going to get the returners served before they even make it into the first corner. It's so hard to get a move to stick and pulled off here completely. As now it looks like Logan Lansford with a big run coming off of turn 2 as well. These four are going to be almost inseparable this entire race. So we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold when they do go for their pit stops, which should not be too far away here. As you can see, they're catching up to the tail of the lap down car of Brandon Miller. In all previous weeks of broadcasting, lost his front clip. This time he's lost his boot and his rear bumper. So he wanted to be a little bit different. He's still missing panels, but he's just missing them on the opposite end. Having another look through my standings here, it looks like we're also going to have Jerry Glenn coming in for a pit stop as well. It sounds like the leaders here going much slower than normal, going in for a pit stop. Oh, Jonathan hitting the cone there on the entry to the pits. Not sure if that's going to warrant a penalty or not for him. That's going to be something that we're going to have to wait and see. As now the 12 of Matt Burgess has assumed the lead. Brandon Stevens in P2 and Brian Pizzakemi P3, the only three drivers who haven't come in for a pit stop yet this cycle. As Matt Burgess comes in now, looks like Brandon Stevens is going to be staying out. And Brian Pizzakemi is staying out as well. We're going to go back to having a look at our leaders here. Looks like Jonathan Hernandez has found a space by himself. He's got Derek behind him. And Logan is actually in front of Derek. And off in the distance behind them a little bit is the 4 of Jaron Sanchez as well. It looks like the 28 of Brandon Stevens is coming into the pits now, and so is the 78 of Brian Pizzakemi. So we're going to go back to looking at our leaders here. And Jonathan Hernandez with a big gap over the guys behind him at the moment. He'll be looking to maybe use some of these lap cars for the draft, trying to pull away from the rest of the guys behind him. It also looks here that the big battle in the top 3 is going to be for the 3rd and 2nd position here. Logan Lansford in front of Derek at the moment, as they're catching up to the tail of the 022, which is Wendell Lowe, making his return to Output Racing after a brief period of non-existence. Our 2 leading cars here expertly getting around the 022 car there very quickly. And these guys will be battling it out pretty hard for the remaining 20 laps in this race. Let's go back and have a look at the 4 of Jaron Sanchez and where he's at. He actually has the 12 of Matt Burgess on his tail. Matt with 1 lap fresher tyres than Jaron. And right behind them is the 7 of Brian Harris. Actually, no, that's the 13 of Travis Massio who's missing his front clip. I must have missed where Travis picked up that damage. But yep, that is indeed Travis missing his front clip. As we see now, the 12 of Matt Burgess making a move on the 4 of Jaron Sanchez to take that 4th position away. We're going to go back up and have a look at how Derek and Logan are getting on. And they have disposed of Wendell Lowe, but Wendell's sticking in their draft now. It looks like very shortly they're going to be on the draft of Jared Pashley, and Jonathan Hernandez as well. Jonathan got around Jared and has kind of stalled out from there. It looks like these guys are also very slightly catching up to the back of Brandon Bennett in the 1 car. Looking to put Brandon 3 laps down when they get to him. Now, fastest time on the last lap was actually done by Wendell Lowe, a 29.639. As we see Logan and Derek getting around the 9 car of Jared Pashley. It's like Logan and Derek running that higher line, as these 3 are absolutely surrounded by the 3 lap cars here. It looks like Derek has jumped ship to sit behind Jonathan as they go 3 wide to dispose of Brandon Bennett. And it looks like we're almost going to go 3 wide again with the leaders. Not quite though. Derek, Logan and Jonathan fighting it out very hard here for the lead. Just 13 laps to go when they come to the line next time by. This is going to be an absolutely cracking finish. Logan now looking high. He's got help from Derek Myers. Logan starting to cut down to that middle lane a little bit there on a corner. Jonathan with no help. Logan with all the help from Derek. But at the moment it just seems that those higher lines just don't have the advantage that the low line still does with these guys running their fresher tyres. Logan now taking the advantage on the high line coming through turns 1 and 2. Derek looking for a move down low. We're 3 wide for the lead at the moment. Jonathan uses that to his big advantage, taking the lead back on the low side. And he's offering the draft up to Derek Myers. Derek trying to look for a way around again, seeing if he could make it 3 wide as they were going to turn 1. Thought better of it at the time. And now it's Jonathan, Logan and Derek again in that order. These guys are also starting to catch up to the 28 car of Brandon Stevens, at threat of being put another lap down. In fact, he is on the lead lap again. These guys are fighting tooth and nail right now. Jonathan still utilizing that lower line. Derek and Logan getting a big run on the inside on the back straight. Jonathan filing in behind Logan, which kind of hung Derek out to dry in turns 3 and 4. Now to the outside is going to go Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan getting the help from Derek this time. Logan still holding on strong on that low line. Cuts just up in front of Jonathan. It's surprising that they didn't make contact there. Jonathan now running the inside and turns 3 and 4. Logan cutting down to join him. And that also offered up some draft to the lap down car of Wendell Lowe in the 022. Derek still right there on the tail of Logan at the moment though. These guys all running the high line as we are within the last 10 laps in this race. These three are putting absolutely everything on the line at the moment. So we could see some drama towards the end of this race. Let's come along the back straight. Looks like things are settling down just for the moment. Everyone just getting ready for that final move that they want to make. Or final couple of moves, depending on where they are. Logan looking low, maybe just trying to get a big gulp of air there while he was sitting behind Jonathan Hernandez. Logan trying to get every single little bit of an advantage he can. Jonathan running slightly off the wall there on the back straight, just to say to Logan, look, I know you want to be going for a move soon, but this is not the time to do it. As they come thundering into turns 1 and 2 now. We have 5 laps to go in this race. It looks like things at the moment are definitely settled for these guys, but I wouldn't put it past them to start going all out towards the last couple of laps. So we cross the line with 4 laps to go. Logan looking low again, possibly just getting it for the clean air into his grill. Jonathan Hernandez still in the lead as we see Brandon Miller down on the inside, pulling out of the way of the leaders. And it looks like they're going to be able to get around him fairly quickly here. Derek Myers has dropped off our 2 leaders here. Jonathan Hernandez experimenting with the alternate dimensions again, trying to gain an advantage over Logan. As we got 2.5 laps to go in this race. It's going to be anyone's guess to who's going to win between these 3 at the front. Even though Derek has dropped off from these guys, he's still in with a chance to get the win. The worst thing that could happen right at this particular moment is if the caution was to come out, because that would drag on this drama just a little bit more. And it looks like Logan got into the wall in turn 3, which means this is going to be a clean and clear victory for the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez as they come across to get the white flag. Logan's dropped to about half a second back behind Jonathan at the moment. Just a little bit less than that actually. As they're going through turns 1 and 2, doesn't look like he's going to be very much headed, and this is going to be an excellent points day for Jonathan Hernandez, with Thomas being all the way down in the 7th position. He's coming through turns 3 and 4. Somehow he's lost his front clip and his bonnet. I'm not sure what the hell happened there to do that. He comes across the line and gets the win. 2nd place to Logan Lansford, 3rd to Derek Myers. 4th place is going the way of Matt Burgess, and 5th, league owner and operator Jaron Sanchez. Alrighty guys, we're going to go for a quick break here, and when we come back we will have top 3 interviews and the hard charger. Alrighty, guys, we are back, and it's time for the interviews. We're kicking things off with the Hard Charger Award, and today's Hard Charger is our fourth place getter, the 12 of Matt Burgess. Matt, great race for you, man. Up from 12th to 4th. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good about that. I haven't raced the A cars here, so basically I had my practice today. They're they're not too bad on fresh tires and stuff, but you gotta be careful, otherwise they'll push out coming out of the corners when you're behind.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that we tended to notice throughout the race, especially as the leaders started to go to the higher line. How was it for you on the older tires? Just in general, especially with your battle there with Jaron towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Jaron was running the high line. I was running the low line. I had to lift a little bit coming into one so I could get my arc down onto the bottom. Um, I believe I was catching the leaders at that point with that lower line. The high line is just a slower line. It's safer, but uh, with Jaron, I mean, he was getting runs off the top because he had the draft going down the back straight. So I had to pretty actively block him on the bottom there so he couldn't get the bottom.
Alrighty, man. Now I know you got a couple of people to thank while we got you in here. So who have you got to thank for helping you out here tonight?
Well, I'd like to thank Jaron for the league and for us finally racing with each other and not ending up in an accident. Been a couple times, but this time, we're racing hard and clean, so it was fun. You for doing the broadcast every week, and obviously all the racers that come out.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, and congratulations on P4 and the hard charger.
All right, thank you.
Alright, guys, so that was the 12 of Matt Burgess, tonight's hard charger. Moving on next, we're going to have our third place getter today after being fairly dominant for most of the race, locked in an titanic battle with Jonathan Hernandez for most of it. We are, of course, talking to the 54 of Derek Myers. Derek, what an incredible race, mate. How do you feel?
It was a fun race. It was fun battling with Jonathan, of course, and Logan. That was a ton of fun. This track with this car, it's just a great show for everyone that's watching, and I, we put on a great one there at the end, three wide and stuff. And unfortunately, I hit the wall going into turn one and made my car super tight to where I'd had to lift and couldn't stay committed to the throttle like them, and that's where I lost my race. So from there on, I was hoping they would get at it. Hopefully something was going to happen. I could go around, but didn't happen. And congrats to Jonathan. He was right there with me the whole race, and he deserved it just as much as me. And Logan did great too. He's right there with us.
So let's talk about your green flag stop here for a second, mate. Um, you came out of the pits with Logan a fair distance behind Jonathan there, but you were able to stick together and catch back up to him. Were you and Logan maybe thinking about working together a little bit to get around Jonathan for the run at the end?
Nah, I slid through my pit box just a little bit. Just trying to get everything you can get on pit road because the draft they'll catch right back up to you, and I wanted to I wanted to nail the pit stop, and unfortunately that didn't happen. I slid through it, and at least I came out behind Logan there to. I think he knew what I was wanting to do. I just stayed right on his rear end, and we got right back up there to Jonathan. And there was some lap traffic in the way, and at one point it was pretty treacherous. I thought we were gonna get in a wreck there, me and Logan, but I followed him. He knew what he was doing, and we got around him, and the race was on from there. And no, there was nothing planned out.
Alrighty. So let's just focus on those last few laps before you hit the wall. And even just the entire race, you guys were in an absolutely titanic battle trying to get whatever advantage you can. We noticed quite a few times you would get a massive amount of momentum on the high side of 1 and 2. Um, Even when Jonathan would slide job you effectively coming up in turn 2, and you'd just get a big run on him going back into turn 3. How was it feeling on the older tyres when stuff like that was going on?
It's just crazy. I mean, I've done a few league races here at Kansas in this car, and I kind of know like how many laps it takes, like you know till you need to go up high, like to run the high line, because the more you run the bottom line, the more you're going to wear your tires out. And even as the lead car, if you move up high and they want to go low, well, you can pinch them down low, and it'll take the air off their spoiler and stuff, and it'll make them tight. But if and even if you stay high, you'll get a big run, and if they clear you, you'll probably go back around if you do it right and work the air or whatever. But yeah, we had some great three wide battles there, and we were just trying to go wherever the other car wasn't. And I tried to. I went from the extreme outside lane and tried to go below Jonathan there, but I would have went below that white line. I didn't want to do anything stupid and wreck us all because I wanted it to be between us three. But it was crazy. I'm sure on the broadcast it looked pretty cool. So you all had a good show to watch.
Oh, it was definitely very entertaining from our standpoint here in the broadcast booth. Now, while we got you up here, man, anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
I'd like to thank my mom and dad for having some good internet connection. Didn't cause me any trouble tonight. I saw someone out there, you know, blurring back and forth the whole time. So I was like, thank God that isn't me. And I'd just like to say thanks to all my other friends and everyone who helps me with iRacing and stuff, getting me fast. And I learned a lot from everyone I race with, and I learned some things in this race tonight. And also, thank you for broadcasting the race, Corey.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, man. Congratulations on P3, and hopefully we can see you there or thereabouts again next week.
Hopefully, see you then.
Alrighty, guys, so that was our third place getter tonight, Derek Myers. Absolutely awesome to talk to. Coming up next, we have the wild child of the Output Racing League. Some would call him the mutt of the family. We are, of course, talking to the 42 of Logan Lansford, tonight's second place getter. Logan, this has got to be your best result all season. How do you feel, man?
This is the best result of all season, and it's actually my best result since Eldora last season. Um,
Wow, that's going a fair bit back.
yeah, I got a really good run to start the race, and I was actually slipping into the top 10 within like the first 10 laps of the race, and I felt very comfortable with this track going into it. This was the one track this season that I knew that I had a good chance at being up front or possibly winning. So
All right, man. So let's talk about the race here a little bit. Uh, when you guys went in for that green flag stop, you and Derek came out a fair bit behind Jonathan. At that point, did you think maybe the race for the lead was a little bit over there, or did you had confidence that you and Derek would be able to hook up and be able to get back to him?
when Jonathan got so far out ahead, there was a lot of lap cars in between us, and Derek behind me pushing me really helped. And so the draft, obviously, we all knew that the draft's going to catch us up to him, and there was a lot of time left anyhow. But I couldn't have done that without Derek pushing me.
Alrighty, man. Well, while we got you up here in the booth, anyone you'd like to thank for being here today?
I'd like to thank Brian Harris for actually painting most of my cars, minus the one I actually ran tonight. You guys in the booth for putting this on every week, Jaron as well, and Jonathan and Derek for having driving such a clean race.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, Logan. Congratulations on P2, and hopefully we see you up at the pointy end again next week.
Hopefully, thank you.
Alright, guys, so as I said, that was the mongrel child of the family, Logan Lansford, finishing in P2 here. Coming up next, a man who has shown some complete dominance throughout the season, didn't have it all his own way tonight, but ended up coming out with the win. We are, of course, talking to the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan, damn, what a race that was from start to finish. An absolute cracker.
Yeah, it was an amazing race. With Derek, Logan, even Brian Harris at the start, it was amazing. This package here with this track is a good combination, and it produced really fun and competitive racing, as I saw in the broadcast as well.
Alrighty, man. Now, let's have a quick talk here about that green flag stop. You came out a fair distance in front of Logan and Derek. Did you think at that point that you'd be able to work with some of the lap traffic and maybe maintain that gap, or at what point were you like, they're coming, I'm going to have another battle on my hands here?
Well, with that stop, I didn't even know I had an amazing stop until I got out on the back straight, and I see I was about a second ahead, and I saw Jared that just passed me. Uh, I was like, okay, if I could work with them, all the lap traffic we're about to catch, just maybe it'll be put a little distance, and I keep probably like half a second towards the finish. But like I said, with this package, the uh, the draft is just so strong, and Derek Logan and I believe it was Wendell they were working with. They caught up so quickly, and I was like, okay, now I need to play defensive. But yeah, that pit stop was amazing. Originally, I thought I would get a penalty because I clipped the cone, and I was like, oh, my race is gonna be over. But apparently, I guess I was lucky enough to not actually get a penalty, and I guess that was really the key factor.
Yeah, well, that was actually something that we noticed here in the broadcast was you clipping the cone coming in for that pit stop. I think you got very lucky there, actually. Another couple of inches, you probably would have ended up with a penalty. Now, let's talk about some of the on track action, especially the older tyres. When you guys are all running up high, you would get a really nice slide job going through turns 1 and 2 and just squeezing in front of Derek, and then he would come thundering back on your inside there for turn 3. How is that for you and your perspective on that racing?
Well, and I was talking to Derek about this and Logan. With the old tires, the outside line now with the updated setups, is the way to go. So the only way you can really pass if everyone's on the outside is, of course, going to the bottom. So in one, I tried to experiment a couple times, see how far I could push it, and luckily I was able to warn Derek through the game chat that I was sliding up, so that way we would make contact by accident. And but yeah, the older tires here is a factor as well with the outside, and of course you throw in the lap cars and then the fuel. Everything just rapid so quickly, especially you know the last about 20, 27 laps when we pitted. It was all about timing because I really wanted to take the lead and get in front of Derek just in case something happened, but I wasn't able to do it. But it played off towards the end, and I was able to hold off Logan.
Now, we did also notice a little bit of strategy on your part. When we had those yellow flag periods and you went for your pit stop, you stopped towards the end of the pit lane to make sure that you weren't going to be restarting in second. Was that because you wanted to make sure you were in the low line for those restarts?
Yes, that was mainly, and the first time, the first caution when we all pitted, that was a last minute decision because I was about to roll off, and I thought last minute I was like, oh, I want to start on the inside, and I knew Derek beat me, and I believe it was Brian Harris that was second or right behind me. So I let him go by, and that gave me an insight. It worked out that first time, and I was like, okay, the next couple cautions that we have, I'll put it like that because it really worked out as you saw, especially after the last caution where me and Derek pulled away for about 1.5 seconds.
Alrighty, man. So this is going to be a very excellent points day for you, getting the win with Thomas Harmon finishing down in seventh. Um, how do you think this is going to affect your championship for the rest of the season?
I'm just gonna say it is gonna come down to the wire by next week. Coming to this race, there was five of us with the chance. Now there's five of us probably still have a chance with Jaron finishing fifth, and with Matt finishing fourth. I know Matt was behind me, but it's gonna come down to the last race next week at Homestead, and I feel like it's gonna play out the same way it did here because they're almost similar tracks with the high line working and the draft and everything, but it's going to be an interesting race, and it's all going to be about who can make the less mistakes.
Alrighty, Jonathan. Well, it's about time that we're going to get wrapped up. So we know you got a few people to thank. Who have you got to thank this week?
First, I want to thank my parents. You know, Even though they make fun of me for doing this, they're always supportive of me doing this, and my brother who also watches the stream every time he wakes up, and of course Jaron and you for and oh, I got to thank Brian now because he's an admin, so I got thank him as well. But everyone in Output, we're all clean racers. We all like to race hard, as you saw, and come next week. I wish we had a couple more races with this car because that was a lot of fun. But uh, we'll go on to the B car, I believe, next season, and you know, keep on kicking from there.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much. Congratulations on your win and your points boost from this race. And we'll see you again next week, where hopefully we see you on top again.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys, so that was today's winner, Jonathan Hernandez. And what an incredible race that was, ladies and gentlemen. This will definitely be one of the best races that we've had all season. Things are going to be definitely very interesting as we head into Homestead next week. So we're going to end the broadcast here. Thank you guys for coming out, and on behalf of all the drivers, the teams, the admins, and myself, we will see you guys again next week.